Today we're talking about the song War. It's actually a song by Katy Perry. And for those, just to make sure no one is confused, the reason why we are using a secular song in this particular series called Playlist, we are preaching about music because Jesus used parables. And so what is a parable? A parable is defined as a simple story that uses ordinary life circumstances where Jesus pulled out spiritual lessons that were sticky, right? They were sticky, which means that it was memorable. All right? And so when he would tell the story, it didn't matter if you were Gio's age, which is 2 years old, or if you were 99 years old. Ultimately, you would be able to understand his story. And so I believe that in today, some of the greatest modern day parables, especially because of the music videos that are attached to them, come through music. Now, I was, raised in a spiritual environment, and so because I was raised in a spiritual environment, I didn't do a lot of the things that, let's just say that my unsaved friends did. But you know what? Whenever I could, I still listened to a lot of secular music, as do a lot of Christians. And guess what? Most unsaved people, they're not listening to Bethel. They're not listening to Hillsong and Jesus Culture and Jeremy Camp and Matt Redman. We want them to, but they're not. They're listening to Nicki Minaj and whoever else is out there. And the fact of the matter is, this music that they're listening to is shaping the culture. It's shaping how they feel like they should dress. It's shaping how they feel like they should feel about themselves. And so it is really prophesying to them what their existence is. And so instead of ignoring the culture, we're doing what a lot of churches do, and we're just kind of beating people up like, oh my God, you're listening to Katy Perry, you're listening to Coldplay. You know what? We got to do to meet people where they're at. Jesus met the woman at the well exactly where she was at, in spite of the fact that people are probably talking about him. If this was today's church, I can imagine people saying, oh, Jesus is single, she's married, what are they doing alone together? That's what people tend to do. But you know what? Jesus knew that it was important to leave behind the church and go back for the one. To leave the 99 and go back for the one. So this is the reason why we are using secular music for this particular series. So in week 1, we preached on a message called Hard Love by Need to Breathe. In week 2, Brittany did an amazing job where she preached Scars Here Beautiful by Alicia Cara. And last week, I preached something just like this by Coldplay, and today we will be covering War by Katy Perry. Now, guys, I already talk fast. I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm going to talk a little bit faster, but I promise you will understand what I'm saying, because I want to make sure that I don't keep you guys here too long. Is that all right? Amen. Awesome. Here we go. So, there have been some times in my life where I felt particularly marginalized. And I don't want to warn you guys, this is a little bit of a heavy message. A little bit of a heavy message, but I believe it's something that God wants to speak to his people. I've been marginalized, I felt insignificant, and I've also felt depreciated. What does insignificant mean? It means that you're too small or you're too unimportant to be worth consideration. Think about that. You're not worthy to even be considered. There are 3 ways that we as people or as human beings battle with feeling insignificant. Number 1, the Bible says in John chapter 10, verses 10, that it says that the enemy has come to steal, to kill, and to destroy. So we talked about this earlier. He will do whatever he can to stop the purpose and the plan that God has for you. So if this line, if on that side is the purpose and the plan that God has for you, he will do whatever he can to hold you back. He'll throw the kitchen sink at you. He'll throw physical sickness at you. He'll try to take away that one thing that is an idol in your life, or that one thing that you care about. For some of us, that's a relationship. For some of us, that's money. For some of us, it might be whatever it might be, but he will use it to manipulate you, to hold you back from the purpose and the plans that God has for you. Matter of fact, the Bible says that he's also the father of lies. Lying is his creation. It is his character and it's his mastery. So he will say whatever he needs to say to make you feel insignificant. Here's the second way. The second way is through our flesh. You see, when we were children, we were fearless. My son right now, he'll get on top of the couch and he'll just go fly. And I'm like, Gio, you're not Superman. You don't really have a cape. But he's just fearless. But you know the funny thing is, when you're that age, you don't worry about comparison. Jesus not sitting up there saying, well, man, my hair is this texture and your hair is that texture. He's not saying, well, hey, I'm black and you're white. He's not saying any of that. All he sees is, hey, there's a ball. Do you want to go play? That's his only concern. But as we get older, comparison becomes a real thing. We're looking on Instagram, Facebook, or maybe if you're not a social media person, you're that person you're talking like, man, she always dresses so nice, or man, if I just had his money, or if I just came from his background, then maybe my life would be better. For some of us, it may have been, man, if I was married to her instead of the person I was married to, my life would be a lot better. Or maybe it could have been like, man, that ex, maybe that one that got away, and we're like, babe, I love you, but you're looking up here and like, I wish I had kept you. These things are real. The comparison factor, the low self-esteem where we feel like we're not worth anything. Or for others of us, it is the devastation of failure. We have failed one time, and because of that, that has made us afraid to try anything else. And because of that, we feel insignificant. We feel too small. We feel unimportant. But this is the thing. Here's the last one. Outside influences. And this is the big one. This is where I believe the church struggles at the most. Many of us feel insignificant, not because of us, or not because of the enemy. We're like, no, I can war against the devil. I can pray. I can speak in tongues. I can read my Bible. I can go to a conference. I can do all these great things. But people get in our way. You know, I've heard a lot of people say that, you know what? I like people until I met you. Every supervisor has that one person, they're just like, if I could replace you, I could, but legally I just can't do it. You know, I love everybody here. This is the only church this does not apply to, where every pastor has at least 3 people. And if they left the church, he would not cry. Publicly, he would say, oh, I'm so sorry. He would go home celebrating. People. In your family, there's people that when you go to the family reunion, you're supposed to love them because, you know, mom and dad say you're supposed to. But, you know, the mere sight of them just makes you, I love Jesus. Jesus. Outside influences. For many of us, we were told by our father or our mother that we would never amount to anything. Perhaps your mother told you, if you were a boy, that you would be just like your father. And she didn't mean because he was handsome. Maybe somebody told you that your skin was ugly because you had freckles. Maybe because you were a woman, someone told you, or they insinuated there were certain positions or places of authority that you could not have simply because of your gender. Perhaps somebody minimized how hard your childhood was, or your upbringing was, or the neighborhood you came from was. Because, you know, there's this popular notion now that people say that, you know what, if we all work hard, then it doesn't matter where you come from. But the truth of the matter is there's some people that have a head start. And that's not a bad thing. They should not apologize for that. But then sometimes, because of our lack of empathy, we kind of say, oh, it doesn't matter that your mother was on drugs. It doesn't matter that your father wasn't there. Even though that my mother and my father was here, if you worked just as hard as me, oh, stop whining. And they make you feel insignificant. Perhaps you are a black person, and you feel as if no one understands how different your journey is in America. So just be a little deep today. When I moved here to Medina, Brittany and I went to Target, our first month here. And second month here. And at this point, we had just met Anna. She came to our Camping Connection. And we met her lovely daughter, Mia. And we saw Mia in the checkout line, but she didn't see us. Now, you guys know I'm a jokester. I like sneaking up on people, I like doing pranks. And so it was me, Brittany, and Gio. You know, we were the Brady Bunch. And I walked up to Mia and her friend in a very public place where there were a lot of people around with no weapons in my hand. And I tapped Mia on the shoulder and I said, in a really big way, hey. And before Mia had a chance to respond to me, there were at least 4 or 5 people let's just say they weren't black, that looked at us like they were ready to tackle me, even though I was there with my family. Now, I would completely understand it if I was there and they're like, here's this random guy talking to this 13-year-old girl. I would get that. I can understand that. But I'm there with Brittany, I'm there with Gio, and that's a truth that a lot of people won't be able to relate to. I told you guys about the time that I left out of PJ Marley's, and it just so happened that I was parked right next to someone that his car was right next to mine. And so he walked to the parking lot, I walked to the parking lot. He turned left, I turned left. He turned right, I turned right. And so I wanted him to feel comfortable. I didn't think he was a racist or anything. I just wanted to say, listen, I promise you I'm not following you. But he kept looking back. And so for a lot of people, that's a reality. Some people will say, well, oh, you're over-exaggerating. I promise you this is not a dialogue about black people. But I want to deal with some real issues today. Perhaps you're a Muslim person. And even though you're a tax-paying, law-abiding citizen who loves America, every time there's a terrorist attack, people look at you and your family with contempt. Why are your people here? Perhaps if you're a Polish person, and even though generally we still consider you white, people look at you as if you're, excuse my language, if you're Georgian here. But if they want to hear here, they probably grade school too. Look at you as if you're white trash. I've heard that before. In today's world where chants of build that wall can be heard in different parts of America in reference to some Hispanics, time tells us that Italians were once the Hispanics of their day. One of the greatest, don't use the word greatest, one of the worst lynchings in American history happened to Italians. This is what the commentary of the day was in a local newspaper, and this was based off of a poll they did with American society. Americans debated whether Italian Americans were somehow all disposed to criminality by their genetic endowment or cultural inheritance. Perhaps if you're a white person, you feel devalued anytime you voice an opinion that has to be different than a person of color. And then that person of color insinuates that maybe you're discriminatory or racist. Or what about the white person that's upset about affirmative action? A process that was put in place to right the wrongs of inequality for education in the job world, but now your son, Timmy, or your daughter, I'm sorry, I'll try another random name. Rachel, there we got no Rachels here. She's worked hard, she's in high school, has a 4.0 GPA, has a scholarship, and that last spot was given to someone for affirmative action. Happens. Perhaps you're a blue-collar worker, and there's this feeling that every time you're around the white-collar worker, they look at you as if you're uneducated. Well, you could have went just like me. Could have been life. Perhaps you're a white-collar worker, and every time you get around a blue-collar worker, they treat you as if you don't have a real job, because they look at your hands and they say, there's no calluses there. You're not doing real work. Perhaps you're a Democrat or a liberal, and you're tired of being labeled a spoiled, entitled, lazy brat. Perhaps you're from a younger generation, and the older generation keeps reminding you why your generation sucks. I can go on and on and on. I try to give a myriad of examples. But no matter who you are, we all, in some way, shape, or form, have been marginalized by somebody. I have white friends that marginalize some of my black friends. But guess what? I have some black friends that marginalize a lot of my white friends. I have Republican friends that marginalize my Democrat friends. And I have some Democrat friends that marginalize my Republican friends. We all have been marginalized. And I'm not a woman. But I told you the statistics. In the church world alone, where there should not be misogyny, women have a harder time doing ministry than men. Beth more recently wrote an article to her Christian brothers where she said that they're privately snickering like, Yeah, they let her preach, but it's not like hearing a man preach. Now, I don't know about you guys, I love to hear Brittany preach. I absolutely do. Here's the lie. A lot of times we feel the handicap or insignificance people define us by, and we allow that definition to make us think that that's who we really are. The voices that we're exposed to, voluntarily or involuntarily, ultimately shape us on how we see ourselves. Why do I say involuntarily? Sometimes you weren't even looking to read the newspaper, but you were right there in the supermarket, and you just happened to walk by, you saw the headline, and all of a sudden, that headline is imprinted in your mind. Or you're on social media, and you're having a great day. And I don't know about you guys, but sometimes I'll go on social media, I'm like, yeah, let me see what's going on Facebook, and I'll see what's going down my timeline, and it's nothing but trash. But it's still imprinted in my mind. And so these voices sometimes shape how we think. Why do we believe the lie? If we hear a lie long enough, it begins to sound like truth. It's called the illusory truth effect. It's a glitch in the human psyche that equates repetition with truth. You know what that means? If you say it long enough, people will believe it. People will believe it. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. They're just simply familiar with it. So if I say it long enough, I'm Superman, I'm Superman, I'm Superman, I'm Superman, eventually, I'm going to probably think I'm Superman. And you guys might, want to put me on some medicine. By trying to go flying. And I'm not making fun of mental health. But what I'm saying is, a lot of times, if something's repeated over and over again, it just becomes true. I see it all the time on social media. You'll see a headline over and over and over again, and people will say, I believe it, this is a fact, especially with politics. Did you research that? Well, it was on Facebook 5 times. Okay. Because we're exposed to lies long enough, there's a tendency to believe them, even when it comes to Christianity. The funny thing is, we're very, very good at judging people. We're very, very good at telling the truth. My Bible tells me that we're supposed to walk in holiness. This is what the Bible says. The Bible says you should not be a liar. The Bible says you should not covet. The Bible says you should not be a homosexual. We love doing that. My God is a holy God. But we forget that 17 times in the Bible it mentions grace and mercy. Amen. Jesus went up to the woman at the well, and he didn't expose her right away, but he gave her grace and mercy. When the Pharisees or religious would have said, you know what are you talking to her for? He gave her grace and mercy, then he gave her truth. And so sometimes even we as Christians, we can marginalize people. The homosexual person walks in the church and we're like, we move one seat over. Now, can we be a little real? A lot of people say, I would never do that, right? I would never do that. If they come to church, the place that we're comfortable with, sure, you can sit next to me, but they let the political election come up, and they express a view that's different than our conservative view. I believe in abortion. You believe in what? You want to kill babies? You know what the Bible says about this? Grace. Mercy. I'm going somewhere. What's the consequence? Every time we believe the lie, we lose our courage. We never believe the purpose and the plan that God has for us. We tend to put those same barriers as Christians when we start to believe that lie, that we're insignificant, that we're too small. And when we believe the lie, you know what happens? When we go out and share the gospel with other people, we put those same limitations on other people. Because you can only give what you have. So if I'm a Bible-believing Christian and I'm discriminatory against white people, you know what? That's going to come out. It's going to come out. No, I'm not. I love everybody here. If I was discriminatory to white people, this would be a really bad church for me to be. But whatever is in you, it will come out. And you see, in the church, this is a safer environment. We see all the nice churchy things. God bless you. May heaven smile on you. Oh, I'm praying for you. Half the time we don't really do it. Can we be honest? That's like our go-to thing. I'm praying for you. But with all that great stuff, with mastering church, whatever is in you, until you give it over to God and consecrate it, it's going to come out, even with all the scriptures that we quote. This is part of the reason that we still have racism, misogyny, discrimination, and partiality in the church. But here's the truth. God wants us to believe this bold truth that his gospel is for all people. Black, white, woman, man, kid, doesn't matter who you are, what your background is, the gospel is for you. God knows that for that person that we need to reach, for them to have their best moment, that requires us to have our boldest moment. And you know, sometimes we gotta have our boldest moment. Sometimes our boldest moments happen with other Christians. There's moments that we see people gossiping about that person that's spiritually weak, and we don't say anything. While that person's being belittled and made to feel small, and instead of saying, you know what, I will not listen to this, go tell that person we're listening to it. We're listening to it. Now, do me a favor. Do me a favor. I'm going to share something I don't normally share with people, because people tend to put you in a box, right? I'm politically independent, okay? And I'm that for a reason. I think it's very, very dangerous for a spiritual leader to tie themselves to any one particular party. It's very, very dangerous. I'm not anyone that does it. Just think this, right? The majority of evangelical churches tend to vote Republican. Right? That's just a fact. We were at a conference yesterday, and this pastor said that his children are considering leaving the church. They respect the office of the presidency, and understand this is not a dialogue against President Trump, just letting you know what people are thinking. And they said, how is it that we believe in loving people? How is it that we believe in respecting women? How is it that we believe in doing all these things? But we say, you know what? Let's ignore all the bad behavior just so we can get a Supreme Court justice. Now, if you want to be fair, you do the same thing with a Democratic president. So this is not about President Trump. But sometimes what happens is we as believers, we sacrifice our values, our biblical values, just to get a political win. But here's what we're really sacrificing. When we go talk to that person, that woman at the well, and they ask us, but what about this? Don't worry about that. Don't worry about the cheating. Don't worry about the womanizing. Don't worry about the lying. Just listen. We got our Supreme Court justice. We're good. How do we explain that? And so understand, this is not, once again, I'll repeat this one last time, this is not against President Trump. You can do this. I can also do this with President Obama. Okay? The point of this is sometimes what we do is, in order to hold on to our political values or our ideologies, we're willing to put down people just to get what benefits us. What benefits us. You see, why is it hard for us to connect with people that aren't like us? It's because their worldview is different. Their values are different. Their behavior is different. And the problem is, it's hard for us to relate to them because we can't see the forest through the trees. When I was in the military, we had this place called the National Training Center, and I loved it because it was an experience that a lot of soldiers didn't get a chance to see. If you came from the city or any type of urban environment, there was a 99.9% chance that there were small or some type of light pollution. If you guys don't know what light pollution is, every time you have any sort of light outside, it actually pollutes the sky, believe it or not. And when it pollutes the sky, it actually makes it brighter to the point that you can't see the stars, or you can see very few of them. But when you go to a place where there's not a lot of lights outside, street lights, car lights, or anything else, you can see the stars clear as day. And a lot of times what happens is people are like the stars, and they're just saying, I want you to see me, but we can't see because of the pollution that's separating us from them. What is that pollution? How we were raised. What is that pollution? Some of our ideology. What is that pollution? Some of our politics. Instead of taking that pollution away and saying, you know what? I see you for who you are. I see you for the person that God created you to be. We judge them through the pollution. We judge them through the pollution. Hear me clearly. The world does not doubt our convictions. They know exactly where we stand at on abortion. They know exactly where we stand at on gay marriage. They know exactly where we stand on all the hard issues. But you know what they do doubt? They doubt that the church loves them. They doubt that the church loves them. Now, we're normally done right about now. We prayed earlier. I'm going to ask you guys to give me 10 minutes. If you say no, I'll end it right now. Can you give me 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Amen. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. When we step out of our comfort zone, then the church can be what God has called it to be. Our boldest moments are our best moments. Do me a favor. We're going to read through this really quick. Jeannie, we're not going to play the video. Okay. Acts chapter 8 rather. Acts chapter 8. We're going to read through this really, really quickly. We'll go through a journey through the Bible. Acts chapter 8. If you don't have a Bible, you can read it on your smartphone. We also should have it up on the screen. We're going to start at verses 26, and we're going to take a journey all the way to verses 39. And it reads, I'm reading out of the Christian Standard Bible, an angel of the Lord spoke to Philip. Excuse me, this is the man of God. Get up and go south to the road that goes down from Jerusalem to Gaza. So, he's basically set up on a missionary journey. Let's keep going. This is the desert road. Verse 27. So he got up and he went. There was an Ethiopian man. Notice this. The person he was defined by was, he's black. But this is why this is significant. Let's keep reading. There was an Ethiopian man, a eunuch, in significance, and high official of Candace, queen of Ethiopians, who was in charge of her entire treasury. He had come to worship in Jerusalem. I want you to stop there for a moment. He had one of the highest positions in the government. Imagine someone working right under President Trump, or right under our governor here in Ohio. And all they said was, that woman, that person, that white kid, that black man. They identified that by him first. They didn't say like, man, this is the assistant to the queen. They didn't say like, man, he oversees all of these amazing things. They didn't address him by any sort of designation. The Ethiopian guy. Insignificance of people. And the Bible says, let's keep reading. And was sitting, verse 20, and was sitting in his chariot on his way home, reading the prophet Isaiah aloud. Get this, in spite of what people might define you by, God can still use you. He was reading the scriptures. Verse 29, the Spirit told Philip, go and join that chariot. Verse 30, when Philip ran up to it, he heard him reading the prophet Isaiah. It said, do you understand what you're reading? So this is what the guy says back to the Ethiopian man. How can I, he said, unless someone guides me? So he invited Philip to come up and sit with him. Now, this is the hard part. We're going to keep reading for a second. Essentially what happened was, the Ethiopian man is reading the scriptures, having a great time. Philip being the man of God that he is, he's serving Connection Church, he works with the Connection Cafe, doing some amazing things, and he sees this guy reading the scriptures at Colby's, and he sits down with him and says, yes, I will study the scriptures with you. But then the Bible says that the Ethiopian man invited him in his chariot. That was a private place. That I want you to imagine, if I put this in modern day context, imagine someone saying, I saw Pastor Jermaine at the club with this guy. Can you imagine the rumors? There was this woman. He was sitting there having lunch at Colby's with her. What's going on? Does Brittany know? And everyone starts shooting text messages to Brittany. Hey, is everything okay with your marriage? He invited him to his personal place. Verse 32. Now the scripture passage he was reading was this. He was led like a sheep to the slaughter, and as a lamb is silent before its shearer, so he does not open his mouth. In his humiliation, justice was denied him. Who will describe his generation? For his life is taken from the earth. Verse 34. The eunuch said to Philip, I ask you, who is the prophet saying this about? Himself or someone else? Verse 35, Philip proceeded to tell him the good news about Jesus, beginning with that scripture. Verse 36, as they were traveling down the road, they came to some water. The eunuch said, look, there's some water. What would keep me from being baptized? Here's my question to you. When you run into people that are not like you, and you're willing to get into their chariot with them, which means it might be an uncomfortable place, and they say, what will it take for me to get saved? What would be your answer? You may say, well, I'll get into that chariot with someone that's not like me. Will we? Because, to be honest with you, even though I've been in the army and I've heard everything under the sun, there is nothing that anyone can say that will offend me. You know what? It still makes my ears cringe when I sit down and every word is an F-bomb. Or what about when you're on your job and let's just say men or women can be promiscuous, but your coworker is talking about that the third person you slept with last night. Can you get in that chariot with them? Not to condone it, but simply to understand them, have a conversation without beating them over the head with a Bible. Those are the hard conversations. Can you do that with that person that says, on Saturday night, you're like, hey, you want to come and to church with me on Sunday? I don't know if I'm going to make it. I'm going to the club. It's about to lit. Is our response, you need some Jesus? Or is our response, let's have some coffee next week. Let me get in that chariot with you. What about that young lady that feels like she has nowhere else to go and she's pregnant and she's considering abortion? Can you get in that chariot and simply understand? There's a place for help. There's a place to tell her the good news of Jesus. There's a place to help her, but can you get in that chariot with her? Or do we first say, like, this is what the Bible says. Let me tell you right now, if you do anything else, what you need to do. This is what Jesus said to do. And we're pretty bad as Christians. So this is what he says. Look, there's some waters. What would keep me from being baptized? Here's the statistic. 60% of people have said they have no intention of ever stepping into a church. Here it is, next phrase. Most people like our Jesus, they're like the Christians that follow that Jesus. Kind of sobering, huh? They like Jesus. They don't like how we represent Jesus because we make them feel insignificant. You're bring this to a close. As they were, verse 35. No. Where am I?
38.
38. Man, you guys are amazing. You guys are paying attention. You get a gold star. So he ordered the chariot to stop, and both Philip and the eunuch went down into the water, and he baptized him. I love this. You know why? He didn't say, well, first you got to come to our church, then you got to go do membership class, then you got to talk to the elders, then you got to have dinner with Cheryl and Chris, then you got to do all the, you got to be the dream team first for 6 months, we got to bet you do all these things. He says, if you want Jesus, let's stop right now. I know the water is brown, and they didn't have a chance to put any chlorine in the water, but we will baptize you. Verse 39. When they came up out of the water, the Spirit of the Lord carried Philip away, and the eunuch did not see him any longer. I want you guys to do me a favor. When I get to that last word, I want you to say it with me. But went on his way, rejoicing. So, I'm going to say this really quickly. The whole point of the song that Katy Perry sung, was she was saying, you know what, in spite of where I've been at, I still have a war. I still have the eye of the tiger. In order for us to be the Christians that God has called us to be, number one, we have to be consecrated. We have to deal with the scars that become talk about those things that have been holding us back. Because once you get to a place of deliverance, true deliverance, then you can go to someone else and say, you know what? It doesn't matter what you're going through. I'm not intimidated by the fact that you said that you're transgender. I'm not intimidated by the fact that you said that you're homosexual. I'm not intimidated by the fact that you're considering an abortion. It does not matter. But you know, I want to love you right where you're at. I'm not going to not have dinner with you. I'm not going to not have lunch with you at Coolbees or Starbucks or whatever it is, just simply because you're different. But you know what I am going to do? I'm going to love on you a little bit. I'm going to treat you the same exact way and give you that same big bright smile that I would give to my Christian brothers and friends. You want to know why? Because Jesus loves you. I really believe the reason why we sometimes as Christians make people feel insignificant is because we forget just how dirty we were when Jesus saved us. And we tend to get risen up in our pride. We start comparing and start saying, well, you know, I never went to the club. I never got high. Start judging people that way. But you know what I love about the Bible? The Bible says that all sin. All sin. So that little white lie that you told, by God's standard, we deserve hell. That little pen that we took from our job that we thought no one would care about, we say, I've been working here for 10 years, it's just one little pen, but it was still stealing, it means that we deserve hell. When we covet, we may say, well, you know what, I didn't really commit fornication, I didn't really commit adultery. But Jesus said, if you did it in your heart, you've been staring at that woman for too long. You know how some guys do. You see a beautiful woman walking by, there's nothing wrong with that. God's made men and women to look amazing and beautiful. But you know what happens? And you watch her walk by you. By that standard, we deserve that. So you know what that means? In God's eyes, the child molester, as well as the person who told the white lie, get the same thing. But when we realize what God has done for us, which is why I love taking communion, reminding us of the sacrifice that Jesus gave us, we really remember that we don't really have a place to judge anyone out in the world. And I'm going to say this really, really quick. This wasn't even a part of my message. Christians are not supposed to judge the world anyway. Biblically. We're supposed to judge one another, not to tear each other down or help each other up. We're supposed to be judging them. We're supposed to be loving them. So here's my challenge to you. What happens when we actually begin to war? What happens when we begin to really walk in true consecration? People start coming in and we have true diversity. You talk about some stories at Connection Church, people will start standing out and saying, you know what, I had an abortion, but you know what, Amy loved on me. She invited me over and made some of her famous spaghetti. And you know what, because how she loved on me, I wanted to accept Jesus. Someone else is going to say, you know what, I used to be a gambler, but I went over Chris and to Cheryl's house and they didn't judge. I thought that they were. I thought they were just like every other Christian, but because of how they loved on me and shared their story of what God did for them, you know what, I want some of that too. That's the day that we're going to really start to grow. When people start coming here with their story, they're like, you know what, I'm not a real church person, but there's something about this place where I feel the love of Jesus. That's a real one. That's real. So we're ready to close. We're not going to play the last song. We're not going to play the last song. For those of you that share the first time, yes, normally I'll preach for half an hour. No matter what anybody tells you, they would say I'm long-winded. Believe it. But we're normally done like around 11:23. We're severely over. But I thought this was really a message that God had placed on my heart. And I know it's a little bit heavy. It was a little bit heavy. But you know what? In order for me, I'm not going to talk about you. I'm just going to deal with me. In order for me to be the best person that God has called me to be, I got to deal with my junk. The Bible says that every day I have to renew my mind. You want to know why? I can be great today, but tomorrow I can be a little out there. Depending on the voices that influence me. And I can reset myself to remind myself, God, this is what you did for me, so that when I go out there, I'm not blinking my eye. I'm like, oh, I can't. You see how that person's dressed? He has one a dress. It doesn't matter. I can go and say, you know what? Let's sit down anyway. And people will get their looks. And people want to talk, and I'm going to still walk with them. And when we get to that place in the church, it's going to be amazing. Students, you can do the same thing. You can do the same thing. He's dreaming my sermon. It's great. But, you know what? People, they're going to try to marginalize you because you're Christians. You're that church kid. You're that Jesus kid. You know what? Keep telling your story. Keep telling your story. And only you know what your story is. It might even be about you. It might be something that happened in your family. But keep telling your story and don't judge anyone else because they're not like you. I call it spiritual bullying. Imagine that. We would be upset if you physical bullying in school somebody committed suicide, but sometimes we don't bully when we spiritually bully somebody and they commit spiritual suicide. I'm believing God that we as a church and we as individual people, we are going